Now let's turn to Tomas, Araneta. Tomas.
Good evening. It is free to dream, but sometimes ambitions are harmful to humanity, and human genetic engineering is one of them. People who support this advocates to the world that they are about to create a superhuman with no weaknesses. The process contradicts moral principles and involves high, uncalculated, and life-threatening risks, like mutations, viral infections, and ultimately death. This has been proven by Anna Cohen, PhD, a bioengineer and one of the key figures in human genetic engineering. Profit is one of the many reasons why human genetic engineering will be pursued, because of the simple fact that the idea will sell to moneyed persons who can afford and those who want to create superhumans. Warfare is second, continued testing for the reason of combat and military purposes. But in doing so, according to pioneer gene scientist Ian Wilmot, persons behind the human genetic engineering are experimenting their subjects or guinea pigs, of which the results and effects are unknown, much more from person to person. Risking life for profit and defense contracts is wrong, and the people behind it present it as in the guise of scientific breakthrough. We as a whole cannot risk the lives of men, women, and unborn life forms to the risk which all of us does not know what human genetic engineering can bring about. Human genetic engineering does not guarantee a better future, but it does guarantee risk to humanity, said the Field Testing Center for Genetic Engineering, an independent report body which makes conclusions based on analyzed facts. Change in the world is inevitable, but at the expense of human life forms as guinea pigs is morally, obviously, in any way wrong. Man has got to know his limitations. God gives rights and knowledge to, and He alone can change and kill a person. Without ethics, people will have no value in the world, much like those in favor of this threat to humanity.
You are saying that genetic engineering may have some therapeutic application. Now, of course, all kinds of therapeutic application may have some risk with them. Now, are you saying that we do not pursue a therapy or a cure to a disease just because of the attendant risk to it?
Genetic intervention, it is what we're talking about. There are two kinds of genetic intervention. That's genetic engineering and gene therapy. UNOR is basically telling about gene therapy, which for me is not the topic here. It's human genetic engineering, which means adding something to our genes, not removing something that is defective and replacing it. Of course, what I said is it's a threat. Threat meaning there's an impending danger, or should I say, you know that there's a danger. A cup of water has danger, but a bomb, even though when you don't touch it, that's already has danger. And that is what human genetic engineering is, a threat to humanity.
Okay, thank you, Tomas. Now let's turn to the last speaker. We have Ms. Lorvena, Javellana.
Al Gore believes it is not what we know that hurts us. It's what we know that just ain't so. Genetic engineering is one of the misconceptions of society, often judged without knowing what it is and the advantages it holds. Genetic engineering is a direct intervention in the genetic makeup of a living being, the replacement or addition of genes to the genetic code. Its purpose, to help solve numerous medical problems that relate to aging, replacement of organs, and what we now view as incurable diseases, is marked by compassion and sympathy for the human race. There are 100,000 genes in the human body. These genes are linked to diseases like cancer, glaucoma, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. According to the World Health Organization, glaucoma is the second leading cause of blindness in the world, and 3 million Americans have it. If these genetically inherited diseases can be prevented, then we should take the opportunity to make lives less painful. James Watson, Nobel Prize awardee, believes if we could make better human beings by knowing how to add genes, why shouldn't we do it? 1 out of 27 in the U.S. is a carrier of Tay-Sachs mutation, and 30,000 in the U.S. alone have cystic fibrosis. Through germline engineering, couples can avoid passing inheritable diseases to their offspring. There are 97,506 patients waiting for an organ transplant, and there are only 8,000 donors. 17 of these patients die each day because appropriate matches weren't found in time. Genetically engineered stem cells may be able to replace tissues and organs. It would greatly reduce the long waiting just for transplants. Thomas Carlyle once said that there should one man die ignorant who had the capacity for knowledge. This I call tragedy. How can something aimed at improving life be a threat?
Lorvena, will it not probably destroy the uniqueness of the individual because you will now be tinkling into the genetic code of the individual, and there's a possibility that well, you will now be creating designer babies.
Well, actually, designer babies are far off from now, and it is not yet a reality. Our focus here is genetic engineering on helping solve medical problems. And besides, it is just one part of your gene that is changed, so your individuality remains the same.
Okay, thank you very much. We have heard the opening arguments by our four speakers. When we return, we will have the interpellation round.